Hi there. I built a virtual pinball cabinet. It plays virtual pinball games. Shocker, I know. I figured I would take you guys through some of the features and functionality, and then walk you through the build process and what it took to build this. So let's kick things off, shall we? I'll show you the menu system, which is actually really cool. If you come up here a little bit closer, as you can see, it has the title of the game, and then it shows you a preview of the play field to kind of give you an idea of what the game looks like. Up here is the back glass, which of course has the game's title and the manufacturer. Down here is the dot matrix display, and this is the play field. So make sure you're taking notes. There's going to be a test at the end. Back glass, dot matrix display, play field. All right. So back to the menu. There's two different types of tables in here. There's future pinball tables, which are the more classic pinball tables that you're used to seeing from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. They've been recreated by people just like me or you in their spare time, and you're able to play those. And then there's the Pinball FX tables, like this South Park one that's up here now. Those are made by Pinball FX. You can download them for your computer or for your tablet. They're a ton of fun, and I've converted them over to this pinball cabinet. So coming here closer, and I'll show you the flipper buttons here on the left and right flip you through the different tables. As you can see, there's Star Trek, I've got Star Wars, Superman. There's a ton of great tables in here. T2, of course, you know, knowing me, a lot of the tables are movie themed, right? So what I'll do is I'll take you into one of the future pinball tables, and I'll show you some of the really cool things that future pinball can do. So a really good example is the Twilight Zone. Oh, I just went past it. Is the Twilight Zone table. So you just hit start down here, and it goes into the table, and it'll load. So while this is loading, I wanted to show you something really cool. Down here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see this, is a Microsoft Kinect. Any of you guys who have an Xbox One will recognize that. What that does is it scans you here in the environment, and it knows exactly where you're standing. So what that does is it allows the pinball table to adjust the image based on where you're standing. So what you can then do is simulate 3D. So if you move left or right, you'll be able to see around objects that are on the play field. It does this really neat 3D effect. Now the Pinball FX tables don't do that, unfortunately, but the Pinball FX tables are, of course, a lot newer. They have moving people within them, and those are really cool by themselves. So what you're going to notice here in a second is the table's going to adjust. So it just adjusted based on where I'm standing. So if I move left or right, you're going to see the table readjust based on where I'm standing. So I'm going to the right. I'm going to go to the left. Now, to me, it doesn't look like the screen is moving. It just looks like I'm seeing around the objects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the camera here from Crystal, and I'm going to show you my point of view, so then you can see how the objects look. All right, so there we go. Okay, so it's locked on. You can see the robot here and the gumball machine and the clock. Normally, if this was a fixed image, if you moved left or right, this wouldn't change. But being that it knows exactly where I'm at, you'll see that when you move to the left, this becomes closer, the objects tilt and rotate, you're starting to see around them. Same thing when you go this way. This, I don't know what that is. If you know what that object is, post in the comments. I think it's a telephone, I don't know. But you can see how you can see around it as you move. If it was a stationary object, you wouldn't be able to do that. Same thing for the robot. So I'm going to give the camera back to Mike. Well, actually, here, I'll show you one other feature here real quick, too. So here's the plunger. it converts over into the digital realm. See that? Now, if you insert a coin by doing this, and then hit start, it starts up the game, right? And then there's a ball down there, so you pull back on the plunger, let go, and it shoots the ball. And there goes the ball down the hole. But it's really cool. The analog plunger converts it into the digital game. It gives you that real pinball feel. And then, of course, the flippers on the left control the flippers in the game. It's just like playing on a real pinball machine. The only thing it's missing is the bumpers that bump and. Okay. All right. So just pass the phone to Crystal so you can kind of get an outside view. What I'll do now is I'll show you the pinball effects tables, which are really cool. So down here, tons of buttons, right? So start, insert coin. The bottom one is exit table. Push that, goes back to the menu system. Pretty straightforward. What table to show you? How about, X-Men? X-Men? Are you feeling X-Men? No, let's do Fear Itself. You're probably wondering, well, Sean, what's Fear Itself? It's based on a comic series with Captain America and Thor and all those good guys, but it's a really cool table. So Fear Itself, we'll go into that real quick. I'll show you the pinball effects, and then I'll talk about the construction of the table itself. So something you'll notice is that the pinball effects tables load quicker than future pinball tables, and I think that's just because they're cleaner, really. It's a newer table, newer design. So pinball effects, when you go in, it zooms in, it shows you the table. As you can see, players move around, and here, when I pull in the plunger, that person, you guys probably know the name of that character, but that person knocks the ball out, and you have to use the plungers to play. There's a lot of really cool mini games inside here, a lot of cool side missions that you can get into. It's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it, even if you don't build one of these cabinets. Pick up Pinball FX on Steam or on your tablet. Really good stuff. There's an Aliens table. It's really cool. So that's it, really. That's kind of the games themselves, how they work. The cabinet, I'll get into the construction of that here in a second. If those types of things bore you, feel free to exit out of the video now. I'm going to get into the construction part, right? Which some people might find interesting. So I'll go back to the menu while I talk about this. Construction. So all in all, it took me about a month and a half of working every single night during the week, every single hour on the weekends, much to my wife's dismay. I don't think she saw me for a month and a half. Sorry about that. Anyway, about a month and a half construction time. What is it made of, Sean? You know, can I build one of these things? So it's basically made of 5/8 plywood. Thank you, Miguel, for the plywood. Owe you big time, and for your corporate sponsorship. Appreciate that. Yeah, so 5/8 plywood, and then drilled holes for the buttons. Basically made a box out of the plywood, drill holes for the buttons. The box is made out of 5/8 plywood as well. Slight problems though. So the TV itself is 24 3/4 inches wide, right? Problem with that is the lockdown bar is exactly 25 inches wide. So I only had a 1/8 inch room, really, to put the wood on the side. So what I ended up doing was cutting a slit right down the side of the box, sliding the TV in, and putting 1/8 inch plywood on the outside, and it just barely fit. In fact, ran into many snags, one of the snags being that it didn't fit at first. So after I finished building everything, I couldn't get the bar on. So I wanted to throw it in the lake and or set it on fire, but instead I decided to cut down the middle of the front here, and then what I did was I wedged the two pieces together, glued it, and then slapped 1/8 on front of it. So that shaved off that little 1/8 inch that I needed to shave off. many snags, a lot of problem solving in building this. So brilliant move on my part. These aren't the original buttons down here that you're seeing. So it came with some really great multicolored buttons that I promptly melted. And I did that by hooking up 6-volt lights to 12-volt power. Apparently 12 is more than 6, and the lights overheated and melted the plastic buttons that they were inside. So I had to order new buttons. And then I electrocuted myself. I actually electrocuted myself twice building this. The first time I ended up frying the board. There's a little circuit board in here that, I don't know if you can see that. A little circuit board in here that all the buttons are hooked up to, including the plunger. It's right there. Kind of dark in there. That's what processes all the buttons. And it's also got a tilt sensor. So when you bang on the cabinet or you shake it, it shakes the ball in the game, as if you're banging on the cabinet. I fried it, didn't work, gone. Had to order a whole nother part, a whole nother plunger to get that working again. That was great. And then I electrocuted myself again, fiddling with a button. Luckily I didn't fry the board that time, and we're able to move on. So what's running this, right? So we talked a little bit before, it's running off of 3 separate screens, right? So you have a 46-inch television here, 15-inch television here, and a 32-inch television here. The 15-inch is simulating a dot matrix display TV. You probably saw those in the older pinball tables, and that's why it has that kind of like dotted image. It's simulating that. I had this TV. This TV was my grandfather's. He left it to me when he passed, so it was really great to incorporate that and kind of remember him. And my mother left me the TV that I use currently in the arcade cabinet. So my mother's old TV in the arcade cabinet, my grandfather's TV in the pinball machine. It's a nice way to remember them. But so I had this one. I had the 15-inch TV, thanks to my mother-in-law, Tammy. Thank you for that TV. Appreciate that. Had to purchase the 32-inch TV and install that. Inside the cabinet, there's a couple of things. So there's the computer that runs all of it, right? This is running on Windows 10. It's just programs, applications running on top of that. I had to buy and put together the computer that's going to run this. So there's one graphics card that runs all 3 monitors, and it does a really good job of that. And then a separate computer with a solid state hard drive, so that way it boots up quickly. Now there were some problems in the monitor setup, right? So these monitors here would turn on automatically, right? Oh, and here's the way they did that. So the computer is hooked up to a smart power strip that whenever you turn on the computer, it automatically powers on everything else that's plugged into the power strip. So you have that master port the computer's plugged into, everything else plugged into the other ports. You turn on the computer, powers everything on, works great. Only problem is this TV doesn't power on automatically. It doesn't turn on when it's given power. So the way I worked around that was I set up a infrared transmitter, big words, infrared transmitter to the computer inside, and set a program so anytime Windows started up, it would run this command, which is power on, for this television. So there's a infrared transmitting wire that goes up through here and it's off here onto the side, and it broadcasts the signal to the TV to tell it to power on when the computer powers on. Yay, we got around that, right? In here are their speakers, regular computer speakers. There's a subwoofer inside here, gives it the nice bass. I've had the volume turned down while I've been doing the video, so that way you can actually hear me, but it does get quite loud. And what else? So I tried to fabricate everything I could, right? So the plywood is for the box, but I couldn't fabricate, of course, the lockdown bar. It's made out of metal, had to order that. The legs, they're authentic pinball legs, had to order those. Coin door with coin buttons, I had to order those. All the other buttons, of course, I can't make those, had to order them. A lot of people ask, Sean, what did that cost you? Great question. Being that my wife is filming, I probably shouldn't answer honestly, but somewhere in the neighborhood of about $800 to $1,000 total for everything, and that's just because the computer was $400 by itself to build that, $100 for the TV, a couple $100 for all the other parts that I couldn't get, the wood, the tools. I am not an electrician or a carpenter by any sense of the imagination, so it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of buying and cutting and then rebuying. So maybe that's why it took me so long, because I'm not good at those things. I just keep redoing it until I get it right. So yeah, about $800 to $1,000. The thing is, you can buy these. You don't have to build this. You can go out there, you can go to eBay, you can go to Google, do a search for virtual pinball machine, and buy one. The only problem is that they're $4,000 or more. So they're really, really expensive. So I just said, I'm going to build one. Besides, I care about it more after I build it, and it might not be perfect. I'm constantly updating and tweaking things, but it's mine, right? I put it together, so I feel proud about that. But by all means, go out, buy one. You get tons of money. Go ahead and if you're interested, purchase one. What else? What else took up a lot of time? Oh, so the menu system, right? This lovely thing. It's going through the games. That took a lot of work to put together. So what I had to do is I had to go into each individual game one by one, record a video of the play field, get out of it, go back in, record a video of the dot matrix display, record a video of the back glass, and then assign each of those to the games. So that way when you flip through it, it would pull them all up. That was incredibly time consuming, but it paid off. I mean, this menu system is excellent. What else? What other questions do I typically get asked? Sean, why don't you build these and sell these for a living? Because of the amount of time it took me and how strenuous it was on my relationship, I don't think I'll be building these for profit anytime soon, unless I could potentially retire from my job. The wife is giving me evil eyes right now. But no, it really does take a lot of time, and even though you could fine-tune that, it would just take too much to be profitable. Someone else take this idea, run with it, go make money, go for it. Really that's it. I want to thank, of course, my wife for putting up with me for a month and a half. I had the house littered with tools and parts and pieces of wood. There's still probably sawdust in the vents somewhere, choking things up, I'm sure. And also the time away. I kind of obsessed over it and just worked on it nonstop in all of my free time. But again, tons of fun. If you ever are thinking about doing anything like this, just reach out to me. I'm happy to provide advice, anything I can do. If you have any questions, anything I forgot to cover, Sean, how do you get melted buttons out of a pinball cabinet you built? Reach out to me. I can tell you how to pull buttons that have been melted out of a cabinet. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. If you stuck with me this long, you're either unconscious or interested. So thank you for either of those. That's it. Have a great night.